to Prescott, and it's an option keep, and Prescott around the right side, and touchdown Cowboys. Dak back looking, now sprints out right, now throws it over the middle, Beasley at the 12, at the 5, touchdown. Feed Elliott, coming right, 50-yard line and sprinting, he's going 20 and 10, Zeke Elliott, 60 yards, touchdown Cowboys.
We go as this offensive line goes, and when they block their butts off like they did tonight and give me a chance to make passes down the field, I would think we're going to have success, especially when they open up the holes for Zeke.
How about them Cowboys? Good morning, everybody. Hope you all had a wonderful weekend. Another week here on First Take. Max Kellerman, Stephen A. Gentlemen. Oh, one of those.
Yeah.
One of those.
No, listen, it was a bad feeling watching the Cowboys for any non-Cowboys fan this weekend.
Let's go. Let's just go. Let's start it off.
Pretty good.
All right, Dallas must be feeling pretty good about themselves because clearly Stephen A. is not sitting in first in the division at 4-1. Meanwhile, the Giants and Eagles both taking L's, and their two rookies, Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott, looking like vets. Stephen A., we've asked this question before, but did Romo officially lose his job after yesterday's performance in Jerry's World?
Well, let me put it to you this way. I believe he should. I can't sit there and speak for Jerry Jones because we know Jerry Jones is Jerry Jones. After all, Tony Romo is not a football player. He's not just a quarterback. He's the prodigal son. He's the adopted son of Jerry Jones. And far be it for him to mess with somebody he considers blood, because that's what Tony Romo is the equivalent of. I mean, Tony Romo might as well be Stephen Jones. Tony Romo's last name might as well be Jones. As far as I'm concerned, it should be Tony Jones. That should be his name. Why do we even call him Tony Romo anymore? He's obviously a Jones. He's family, okay? Because that's the only reason why this man should still be the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. As far as I'm concerned, Dak Prescott and the way the Dallas Cowboys are flowing, you don't rock this boat. You don't disrupt, what's going on here. You don't mess with it in any way, shape, form, or fashion. You've got the #1 rushing attack in the entire NFL. You've got you're #2 in the entire NFL in terms of yards accumulated, okay? You've got the #9 ranked offense. You've got a quarterback in Dak Prescott that's gone 4 consecutive games completing at least 70% of his passes. What is there to talk about? Everything is flowing. You're making news for the right reasons for a change, because Lord knows that is an aberration. You stick with that. You stick with Dak Prescott. I can't speak to what Jerry Jones will do because he could be idiotic when it comes to his prodigal son. But as far as I'm concerned, based on what I have seen, it should be official. It should be Dak Prescott's team. Tony Romo's days should be numbered. He shouldn't be thinking about being the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys any longer. Maybe you could go into the summer and compete for the job again, but you shouldn't mess with what's happening right now, even though we all know anything's possible with Jerry Jones.
Well, I'm glad you've come around to my way of thinking. As I've been saying all along, look, if the Cowboys are 5-1, 6-1, and Dak is playing well, Tony Romo, is he healthy? Is he perfectly healthy? Is he the healthiest person ever? There are always reasons to keep the guy who's supposed to get the job back out. This is the history of the NFL. Kurt Warner got his job and lost his job to injury. And Mark Bulger, on his best day, was not Kurt Warner, but they had reeled off a bunch of wins, the Rams, at the time. Kurt Warner never was the Rams quarterback again. That's the way it goes. I've been saying that all along. But what happened to Stephen A. Smith, who's sitting there going, Dak doesn't throw outside the numbers, and
I still feel that way,
throwing passes down the field?
But if you recall what I specifically said, and I appreciate you not just talking, but literally asking me and giving me a chance to answer your little diatribe, your little slick self trying to get at me. Here's what I have said, and I have said this repeatedly. We got to look at their record, but more importantly, we have to look at what Dak Prescott is doing before we're ready to anoint him and supplant and allow him to supplant Tony Romo. That is what I said. Y'all were sitting there talking about, well, you know what, Tony Romo should be gone because of the way this guy did after 2 games. I'm saying no. If the man is playing well and the team is flowing, you don't disrupt that for Tony Romo.
Right. Therefore, I did not anticipate they'd be 4-1. I don't anticipate they'll be 6-1. But if they are 6-1 and they looked good yesterday, I mean, they look good both sides of the ball. The defense looked good. The offensive line is amazing, of course. And Dak is good. And Ezekiel Elliott was very good. But if you can't say that Tony Romo just lost his job yesterday, because the next 2 games, at Green Bay, then a bye week, than the Eagles at Dallas. Now, there are a lot of different scenarios that could unfold here. They go to Green Bay and win at Green Bay. Tony Romo's going to be not perfectly ready to play for a little while longer. But they lose at Green Bay. Okay, no big deal. You lost at Green Bay. You're not supposed to win
They might lose
on
at
the
Green
road.
Bay. Yeah,
they might. Okay, so they do. Then you have a bye week. Then coming off the bye, Romo's going to be ready right around then, likely. You lose to the Eagles at home, especially Dak doesn't play well, Romo's job right again. So you can't say based on yesterday, this is now Dak Prescott's job. It's still, we're going to take it game by game, obviously, if they continue to win. But if they lose to Green Bay, if they lose to the Eagles at home, it's Romo's job as soon as Romo's ready.
But this is the part that I don't believe you've ever considered. Let's say, for example, they lose to a Green Bay or anybody else. It's 40-35. It's 35-31 or something like that. That's not about Dak Prescott. Let's look at this here. Dak Prescott has attempted 155 passes. He's completing 69% of his passes. He still has yet to throw an interception. And Ezekiel Elliott is averaging 5 yards a carry. And I got on Ezekiel Elliott after game 1 because he said he was average. I said, no, you were worse than average. Stop lying to the American public. This brother is showing up. Now, I give it to the offensive line. They are doing exactly what we predicted they're going to do. But if you're able to run the ball effectively, and you've got a guy that's not turning the ball over, and you have a relatively balanced attack where the Dallas Cowboys have attempted 169 rushing attempts this year, and they've thrown the ball 155 times. I'm looking at Dak Prescott. Do you know that he's run the ball 19 times? So if you take away the 19 times that he's run the football, he's thrown the football 155 times. They have run the ball 150 times. That is a balanced offensive attack. Who has the potential to disrupt that? The gunslinger himself, Tony Romo. Yes, he's the one that wanted Jerry Jones to go out and get an offensive line. That is absolutely true. He's the one that wanted that. He's the one that schmoozed with Jerry Jones and got him to see the error of his ways as it pertains to an offensive line. But he's also the dude that will take chances. He's also the dude that will make ill-advised turnovers. And if you got a guy that's not doing that, and you have a fan base that has gravitated to him, and you're winning football games, and all that momentum for the first time in about 22 years is flowing in the direction of the Dallas Cowboys, only Jerry Jones would think about interrupting that to take care of his boy. Only Jerry Jones will be interested.
Just watch this for a second. Can you ask me the question you asked him off the top? Do you remember what the question was?
Yeah, did he lose his job? Officially lose his job?
No. The answer is no. I mean, that's the answer to the question. Did Romo officially lose his job yesterday?
Well,
the answer to that question is no, he did not.
We're talking about what we believe because the only person who can make that official decision is Jerry Jones, okay? So clearly, when we ask that question, we're surmising about what we believe should happen based on...
What I'm saying is it's too early now.
And I'm saying
How can you say that when you have a great game at Green Bay coming up, then the bye week, and then the Eagles at home? That is when this will be decided. And even if Dak Prescott, in fact, wins that job and Romo loses it to injury in Dak's play, even if they are 5-2, 6-1, and they win those games,
can I confess something?
He kind of lost his job because if Dak has 2 bad games in a row, they'll go back to Romo.
Can I confess something?
Sure.
I must confess this on the national airways because I can't help myself. I just can't help it. Did you see Tony Romo yesterday? He just looked like one of those. I mean, the only thing that was missing was palm trees and the sunshine. Did you see how he was reclined, just chilling back? Life is just so beautiful right now. I don't have a care in the world. I got this check that I'm collecting. You know, I get to go home to see the wife and kids. I don't have to worry about my back getting hurt again because I'm not playing that much. I'm getting paid. The owner's happy. Everybody's happy. Nobody's really thinking about me right now, and we're winning football games. He seems to be somebody incredibly content with the current state of affairs as it pertains to the Dallas Cowboys. That's all I'm trying to say. That's all I'm trying to say. And I applaud him for that. I applaud him for that.
I've always wondered, I said it on this show about Tony Romo, coming from where he came from to the heights he reached as the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, which is, in fact, once upon a time it was center field for the Yankees, point guard for the Lakers. Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys is or heavyweight champion of the world. Quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys in this country is the #1 job in sports. Got the huge contract, a couple of them actually. He made it. Maybe that was his Super Bowl.
Okay.
Maybe he was satisfied with that.
Well, say no more. I see he's coming by. I see he's coming along.
No,
You're getting there. You're getting there.
I
You're
just think
getting
he's
there.
happy because
You're
he's
getting
taken
there.
over a winning team in his mind.
Really?
That's just me.
Okay.
The answer to the question
You
is
would
no.
say that because, you know, it's Molly going to find a silver lining. Now, I hear you. I hear you.
Sorry, someone's got to be optimistic. We want you guys to weigh in. Did Tony Romo lose his job on Sunday? Go to the First Take Twitter page and vote. We'll share those results a little later in the show. But meanwhile, another player got to see him up close and personal Sunday. That would be Adam Jones. He had thoughts on the rookie's day. Jones followed up on his comments about the Cowboys' offensive line after saying earlier in the week that his daughter could run through the holes they made, telling our Catherine Terrell, "They were better than I thought. I take my hat off to them. Now I see why he has $100 million on his line. Those guys blocked their butts off. Like I said last week, some of those holes my daughter could have run through today." Stephen A., should Jones be quiet?
Yes, he should be quiet. But it's not because he was disrespectful or anything like that. He should be quiet because the Cincinnati Bengals, yet again, are not living up to expectations. They have the 25th ranked offense. They were ranked 25th with their passing game as well as their rushing game. Somehow, some way, did you see them sitting there and bickering on the sidelines or whatever? Now, obviously, you're getting beat up by Dallas's offensive line. That doesn't help matters at all. But they had secondary issues as well, which Pac-Man Jones couldn't even deny. In the end, what it comes down to is, yet again, we find ourselves looking at the Cincinnati Bengals and wondering what the hell is going on with this team. Marvin Lewis is the coach of this team. And, Max, I wanted to bring this up because I want to make sure that I'm very, very clear. I am an individual that has been on the record, you know, particularly more so with college sports than it is with pro sports in terms of talking about the paucity of African Americans that are in head coaching positions, okay? But I'm also that guy. I pride myself in being fair. When Lovie Smith only made the playoffs 3 times in 9 years, I said it's time for him to go out of Chicago. Now, I don't give a damn where you go, but you need to get the hell out of Chicago. And I have been calling for Marvin Lewis to be gone for years. 5 consecutive years. And 6 of the last 7 years, the Cincinnati Bengals have been to the playoffs. They have not won one single playoff game. He has been the head coach for 12 complete seasons. They have not won a single playoff game. And the chances are the only reason he still has his job is because he's one of those dudes who's willing to come cheap. Because whereas other coaches get paid $6 or $7 million a year, Marvin Lewis will step 3 or 3.5, and they have the audacity, the temerity, the unmitigated gall to go to other players and talk to them about how they should be willing to settle for less. Trust me, I know this because I know members in the Cincinnati Bengals locker room who have personally told me that Marvin Lewis has gone up to them, trying to encourage them to accept less than what their market value may be, because that's something he would do. I'm looking at this guy right now. 5 consecutive years in those 6 of those last 7. Do you know what else, Max, that I forgot to mention? Do you know each of them was a wild card game? So not only did you make the playoffs, okay, but you were never one of the top 2 seeds any year, which means that all of those years that you were in the playoffs, even when you won a division, you still had to play the wild card game because you were the 3rd seeded team. This dude doesn't get it done. It's just that simple. And for me, to look at the Cincinnati Bengals yesterday, both of us thought that this is the game that Dallas is going to lose. This is the game because Cincinnati's talent is undeniable. They got talent all over the place that any team in the NFL should want. But there is something missing from this bunch. And I believe it is a head coach that they're fearful of holding them accountable. I believe it's a head coach that has come up short on too many occasions. I am not saying that Marvin Lewis doesn't know football. I am not saying that he doesn't have the acumen to be a head coach. I am not saying that he can't be a defensive coordinator or something else in the NFL. I am saying when it comes to being a leader of men, in terms of galvanizing them to maximize their potential in a focused and cohesive manner, this man has religiously and continuously failed to show up. If it were anybody else, I'm going to go a step further. In some situations, if it was a white coach, they'd have been out of here by now. How this man still has this job is beyond me, and yesterday was the latest example of it because, again, they disappoint you when you don't expect them to. It's who they are under Marvin Lewis.
I don't think that's fair at this moment in time. It would have been fair 2 years ago, might be fair at the end of this season. I'm gonna answer the question in a second. I just want to respond to the Marvin
No,
Lewis
I appreciate the fact that you said it's not fair, because I think that's insane. Go ahead.
I think it's not fair at this moment in time because, yeah, you're never one of the top 2 seeds really playing in the wild card game. You're in the playoffs every year. The thing about the NFL is make the playoffs, you got a shot. As a Giants fan, I know that in the not-too-distant past, 2 Super Bowls as a result of being the wild card.
Yes, we know.
Okay.
You and your Giants.
So, you're right about that. Now, Marvin Lewis, you could make that argument a couple years ago, but a funny thing happened last year. There were signs that the Bengals were going to be dangerous in the playoffs, particularly coming from Andy Dalton. Not huge, glaring kind of signals, but little signs. He played better in primetime games than he had in the past, or even than he had during other games in the regular season, and he had a very good regular season last year. He played better in the fourth quarter. His production ticked up instead of down. I thought there were little signs that were going to be very interesting to see. It begged the question, how would he do in the playoffs this year, meaning last year? And he got hurt. So for the first time in, maybe since Marvin Lewis started making the playoffs with the Bengals, it was really, I think, an open question. You know what? The Bengals might actually do something. They were one of the most well-balanced teams in the NFL last year. Then he lost his starting quarterback. You can't hold those playoffs against him. And it's very early in this season. If at the end of this season they either don't make the playoffs or get bounced again in the first round, it would be fair to say that. But at this moment, it's a little unfair.
Well, first of all, I'm very touched that you're interested in being fair to Marvin Lewis. It's very, very touching. You want some tissue? I mean, you got any tissue? You want some? Because you're so touched by because you want to be fair to Marvin Lewis. Let me tell you. Well, you are a fair-minded individual. But let me tell you this, Max Kellerman. You know why you're so wrong about this? I mean, so wrong? Because, Max, he should have gotten fired immediately after they lost to Pittsburgh last year in the playoffs. You've got the game won, a complete meltdown with the Vontaze Burfict. I don't hold that against Pac-Man Jones so much, but Vontaze Burfict, you understand what I'm saying? And you got to remember the way he had sacked Ben Roethlisberger a few plays earlier and then kept kneeing him in the ribs and stuff like that. He got away with that, getting an interception, or if it was an interception or fumble, I don't recall, then running into the tunnel. Just a whole bunch of overreactions, like guys conducting themselves as if they already had something won when that wasn't the case.
That's a compelling point. But you haven't held that against Vontaze Burfict.
Time out. He is a player under contract who got suspended. What I'm trying to say to you is that he's not responsible for the overall
So let's talk about the guy who is responsible for it. Without his starting quarterback, they were in a position to win the game against the Steelers.
No. I said to you, cumulative and collective. Those are the key words here. I'm sure you can appreciate that, okay?
Well, because that's trending in the right direction.
Well, let me tell you why. No, it's not. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he's been on the job for 12 full years. He has never ever won a playoff game. What about your fan base? What about the people in Cincinnati? What about how do you sit up there with a straight face and think it's okay for a man to not win a playoff game in a decade? In a decade!
Right, but
I mean, year after year after year.
That's why it would have been fair 2 years ago. But there were signs last year that they were heading in the right direction.
But they made the playoffs 3 years before 2 years ago.
Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. To get to the point where you're blaming a lack of discipline, which you're placing on the coach, even though when I say Odell Beckham's a contagion for the Giants, you'll talk about those other players are grown men. Okay. They're responsible for their own behavior. Somehow Vontaze Burfict isn't responsible for his behavior. Marvin Lewis is. They were in a position to win the game against your mighty Steelers without Andy Dalton.
First of all, don't be
want to get rid of the coach now?
Don't be slick. I never sat up there and said that Vontaze Burfict doesn't deserve punishment or anything like that. I'm just saying he's a player. So you're responsible for your job description. He is the head coach and has come up short for 12 years.
I would like to address that question now. I'd like to address the original question now about should Adam Jones be quiet? Should Pac-Man Jones be quiet? You and I are on the same page about Pac-Man Jones. Now, he was involved in a very serious crime not all that long ago. Well, no, that needs to be said. However,
why does that need to be said now?
It's because when it colors people's opinions of Pac-Man Jones. So I understand why people are quick.
But Pac-Man Jones has been a model citizen for 4 years.
If you'd let me get to the point.
Okay, go ahead.
I agree with that. While that may color your opinion, and that is true, the fact is last year in the playoffs, when Burfict and Pac-Man Jones had the finger pointed at them, in fact, Burfict deserved it. Pac-Man Jones did not deserve it. He didn't do anything out of line or uncalled for in that game. And here, Pac-Man Jones is being asked direct questions by Catherine Terrell.
Right.
who is doing a story on the Cowboys' offensive line. You know why?
Why?
Because the real story is the Cowboys' offensive line. And Pac-Man Jones is here telling the truth. He said, look, Ezekiel Elliott's a beast. He was. I didn't see, like, incredible lateral movement, but when he hit a hole, boy, he was gone. But the holes were there because of the Cowboys' offensive line, which a couple years ago made DeMarco Murray look like a top 5, maybe top 3 running back because he was a good running back playing behind a very good line.
Right.
That was a very good line a couple years ago. It's the same guys, more mature, better than they were then. And Ezekiel Elliott is now a very good running back, running behind a great offensive line. Pac-Man Jones answered questions, pointing that out, no problem.
Wait a minute. But you're talking about what he had to say about the Cowboys, and we're asking the question, was he out of line with what he said? I'm saying you're out of line, even though he wasn't insulting or disrespectful. He's out of line because it doesn't speak to the problem that are the Cincinnati Bengals. In other words, you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys like, oh, anybody could do. They'll do that to anybody.
They're 4-1.
Well, then that's not anybody, is it? The Giants, it didn't happen against the Giants.
Week 1, the Giants.
Wait a minute. All I'm saying to you is this.
Thank you.
If you are Pac-Man Jones and the Bengals with the talent that you have, my problem with what he said is not anything that he said about the Cowboys. You're glossing over the deficient bunch that you are as the Cincinnati Bengals. Those
what
guys.
To do every time someone asks Pac-Man Jones a question, he goes, "Never mind that question. We're the problem."
Hold on, wait a minute.
Every time.
Hold on. You damn right. So if you're Pac-Man Jones,
they're doing a story about the Cowboys' offensive line.
I'm answering your question. If you are Pac-Man Jones, I don't care what team is in front of you. Look, man. You're going to ask me, I'm going to answer you. Let me pretend to be Pac-Man Jones because, you know, I've spoken to him on many occasions. Brothers as real as they come. This dude, yo, man, don't give a damn about no Cowboys. You see us? We can't handle our business better than that. We down 28-0. That stinks. Something wrong with us. That's what I'm saying should be coming out of his mouth. It's one thing for the Dallas Cowboys to win a game because of a play here or there and the breaks don't come your way. The Cincinnati Bengals, with this talent, were down 28-0. What? To the Cowboys?
That Cowboys offensive line is devastating. If you fought Mike Tyson in the 80s, well, what happened? I don't know. Dude hits hard. He's fast. He came over the left jab with the right hand. What do you want me to tell you? He's good.
What year did Buster Douglas knock him out?
1990.
Okay. I
said 80s.
You said 80s. Okay, I was just double checking. I just making sure.
Let's leave it there.
90 or 91.
All right, let's leave it there. Details.